are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, it's like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 451 of the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I'm getting over a cold, and no matter how bad I feel, I'm not as bad as the actual Knicks.
So we should. Okay, that's good. Thank you for that. Well, should we just start calling this show the Groundhog Day podcast?
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same story every week. Everything is the exact same. Every week it is the Knicks lost some games, played competitively maybe, but lost the games. What's the story with Cantor? Cantor's pissed off because he's not playing, or his playing time's reduced. Ntilikina, is he a point guard or is he a abomination? And it's the same stories. And will we get Kevin Durant? Will we, Jay?
Do you know that since November 27th, the Knicks have won one non-overtime game and a total of 3 games?
I am actually surprised it's that many games they've won. Since December 7th, the Brooklyn Nets have the best record in the NBA.
Even though the Warriors just won 10 in a row?
As of Friday night's game, they had like one more win than the Warriors, and they beat the Knicks. So I assume they still have the best record. I don't know if they played yesterday or not.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, they've been playing outstanding. It's weird how they rebuilt without any draft picks, and the Knicks are what they are. I don't know.
So the Knicks are playing right now. They're up by 6.5 against the Heat. If they lose this, that'll be the 9th in a row. But there are some interesting things going on with the Knicks now.
Some interesting things going on with the Knicks. Please tell me, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're 24 minutes away from having our third straight did not play coach's decision from Cantor.
I don't know if it's the coach's decision as much as like unanimous fan decision.
You've been calling for this for
that's
months.
kind of weird that Cantor's not playing. What do you think? Should the coach? Cantor sucks. He should. I'm totally fine with getting rid of him. Is sitting him like this, is that the right thing to do?
Well, according to you, it definitely is. You've been calling for this for months, right?
Well, I don't want him on the team, but at the same time, I'm like, well, he sucks, but he could play as long as you're playing the other centers getting their playing time. Like, Cornette's now injured. So if Mitchell Robinson plays and Cantor played, I wouldn't have a huge issue with that.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are basically just splitting the minutes between Vonleh and Robinson.
Yeah, if it was Robinson and Cornette and those guys are taking the minutes, I'm like, well, Cantor doesn't need to play. This feels like it's almost like an added insult. And did you hear what Fizdale said when asked about it?
He said he was looking at the young guys, right?
It wasn't just the young guys because they were playing you were playing Lance Thomas and Courtney Lee got to play the other night. Why not Cantor? And he said it's about style of play. I want to get to the style of play I want now and not have to. I'm paraphrasing him up, but I want to get to the style of play I want to play now and not wait. And so basically, he basically just said Cantor does not play the style I want to play, and so there's no reason to play him anymore.
And
I don't know if he's
also
done. But
pretty much saying like he's definitely not coming back next year. So what's the point? Which is a point you've also made multiple times. If the guy is on an expiring and there's no way they're going to sign him again, why give him all these minutes? It's just a waste of time.
The only thing to do now is either you play him till the trade deadline and then you cut him, or just cut him now. Either way, they should cut him and then we'll play for another team. He's getting a lot of money, but he wants to play, and I understand him wanting to play.
Oh, I totally get him wanting to play. I mean, he thought this was going to be his all-star season. So,
I mean, everyone online, people are saying they're like, well, he took the money, he knew what he was getting into. Yes, but I don't think he was also the Knicks starting center last year. He didn't expect to not play anymore.
Yeah. So do you think that they have have something along the lines where they might be able to trade him, and they're just like, we don't even need a tweaked ankle to mess up this deal, so let's just shelve this guy, put him on ice.
My assumption is they're going to try the hardest basically the next 2 weeks to trade him, and then they're going to give him his walking papers thereafter. But the fact that they're going to, if you're not playing the guy and all the other teams see he's not in your plans, why trade for the guy when you know the Knicks are going to cut him later on?
Then I mean, if you have another guy you want to get rid of, you do that, or maybe you're worried about getting into a bidding war. Or maybe you don't have an extra roster spot, and so a trade's the only way you get him.
Well, that part doesn't make sense because you can always cut someone. But either way, so do you think he will be not on the Knicks within the next 3 weeks? He will not be on the Knicks anymore after the trading deadline.
I would think so. I mean, to not play him this close to the trade deadline makes me think that there is a plan, whether it be trading him or cutting him, that there is some sort of exit plan for Kanter.
There was a thing, actually, Knicks Film School posted on Twitter of the top 5 salaries on the Knicks. And it was Noah, no longer playing. Kanter, no longer playing. Timmy Hardaway, playing. Poorly. And then it was like, I think Lance Thomas and Courtney Lee.
Who are barely playing.
Barely playing. And it really comes down to Timmy's, whether you think he's part of the future or not, he's signed for, like, the Knicks have them he's signed for 2 more years after this, so you kind of have to play him. Just because he's going to be here, you kind of want to make him part of the team. Courtney Lee and Lance Thomas are arguably also going to be off the team next year.
So people are wondering why the Knicks are so bad. 4 out of the 5 highest paid players on the Knicks are either not with the team or with the team and not playing.
And the only guy that is playing generally regularly is someone that most Knicks fans would get rid of at this point.
Yes.
Oh
no, I was looking at the Brooklyn game. He was 2 for 14 in the Brooklyn game.
That you know what was awful? So first of all, I turned that game on. I'm like, it's Friday night. You know what? They're playing the Brooklyn. The Knicks could actually win this game. I don't care if they win the game because, I don't care if they ruin the tank by winning because the long season, we can still tank. Let's beat the crap out of Brooklyn. And they've been winning a lot of games. We can beat Brooklyn. And the Knicks started that game off so well. The first quarter was great. They were up by like 10 points. And then it just fell to pieces. It was garbage. Timmy Hardaway, just like brick after brick. The only 2 baskets he scored were the 2 times he drive to the basket. He made nice layups and just didn't do it again the rest of the game.
See, I was totally in that mindset for the Houston game.
Oh,
I really wanted the Knicks to win that game.
It was a close game. The Knicks played really well, and Sir Flop-a-Lot got 63 points or 61 points, so there's nothing you can do about that. Knicks aren't going to beat the Rockets. This bad team's not going to beat the Rockets.
They could have. I mean,
yes, they actually could have. You're right.
There was a play near the end of the game where Harden just fell over and got a foul call, and that would put the game within 2 possessions instead of 1.
Did you know going into this game? They said this during the Knicks broadcast. Harden has been fouled on shooting threes 54 times. And he was fouled 4 times by the Knicks that night while shooting a 3. So I guess it's up to 58 or wherever he is now afterwards. The next leading player was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what that means? The rules have to be changed. You have to start. Like this guy has figured out how to take advantage of the rules. You have to fix that for next season.
So I know a lot of people going nuts over him. Do those people really enjoy watching 25 free throw attempts by one player?
Holy crap. It's just so how would you fix this?
I would actually call the travels that happen.
Yeah, fine. But that doesn't really fix the fouls.
I would eliminate touch fouls.
Yeah, you know what? One thing I would do is that the NBA has made it so like you can't come anywhere. You can't guard the 3-point shooters. You really cannot guard them. You get anywhere near them, it's called a foul. They have to stop doing that. They have to say like.
And also, if the offensive player initiates contact, I would not count that as a foul at all.
Would you change it so like some contact on a 3-point shooter is not a foul?
It depends what contact. I think if it affects the shot, then of course you call a foul. But it's weird because like you could go up for a layup after you release the ball, you get bumped, and it's not a call unless you're like a superstar. But the same bump 30 feet from the basket gets you 3 free throws. It's a weird.
I think that the jump shot, no matter where you take it, should have the same basic, like, if you a jump shot 10 feet from the basket, should be treated the same as a jump shot behind the 3-point line.
Right. Behind the 3-point line, they treat a guy like a quarterback.
Really, that's the thing, is the NBA three-pointers have taken off and taken the league by storm, and part of the reason is the NBA has made the rules so, like, you can't guard the 3-point shot anymore.
Yeah.
So actually, this leads to if you listen to Brick of Sanity, and most of you don't,
that's our comedy podcast.
Jay is a big fan of Infowars. He's not a crazy lunatic. I mean, he's a crazy lunatic, but not in the Alex Jones way. But he likes to go on Infowars and go to the comment section and find the most insane comments possible. And we play games with it on the Brink Show. Anyway, I wasn't looking to do this, but I was reading an article on RealGM.com, and they put up some good source for NBA news. They put up some good articles sometimes, and the article here was the modern NBA hegemony of the three-pointer, which played into, obviously, James Harden. And the basic article is about how, like, a league where, like, it was Shaquille O'Neal used to be the most dominant player, and you talk about other players dominating, and now the three-pointer has taken over. Basically, the inside game is basically just how the three-pointer has taken over the league. And it was interesting analysis of everything. But what I found really interesting is I went to the comment section and found the craziest goddamn comment I've yet. It's just a perspective I could have never thought of in a million years. Why do you think it's a 3-point shot, Jay?
Why do I think there's a 3-point shot?
Why is there a 3-point shot?
To reward a shot of a higher level of difficulty.
That's an interesting perspective. Do you have any other perspective you want to try for, like, pretend it's an Infowars article?
Oh, pretend it's an Infowars article.
Or Infowars comment, because I think this is an Infowars comment.
Okay, so the libtards, it's always libtards. the libtards think that that there's not enough point distribution and all the
Okay, I'm going to cut you off, Jay. Okay. The reason that there's a 3-point line is racism. Plain and simple racism.
That was a real comment?
Oh, this comment is so long. I couldn't even. I don't want to go through read the whole thing to you. It starts off with, several decades ago, a bullet pierced through the Memphis sky to murder MLK. Several years later, blacks were allowed to play college basketball, shattering the stranglehold on basketball by racists like German son Adolf Rupp. He was a racist coach in the NBA in college, Kentucky. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie? What is it? Glory Road.
I don't think so. No.
It's actually an excellent basketball movie. It's all about how when black people first started being allowed to play basically in college basketball, and how, like, Adolf Rupp was the coach of, I think, Kentucky, and he would only allow white players, and the black guys beat his team. And it was a great movie. But anyway, so basically it goes on and talks about basically how all the black players started playing, and Wilt Chamberlain was dominating with the 76ers, and they called him the gorilla in the middle, which I'm not sure if that's a real nickname or not. But according to this article, it is. Or this comment, it is. And basically, because the black people were dominating, they invented the 3-point line to take back their domination. So basically, the Nazi enthusiasts and the Klansmen would not accept such a modern form of basketball. One of their responses, in 1983, we experienced their shot. He said, 1983, we experienced another shot as a response. Basically, comparing it to the MLK being shot, the introduction of the 3-point shot in American college basketball. The effect of which enabled physically inferior men to excel on the court.
So they waited 30 years to do that?
Yeah, something like that. And then he talks about how if the three-pointer did not transform the NBA in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, black players were still dominating, but you know what happened? The NBA started making the rules so basically advantageous for three-point shooters, and they introduced the white Europeans to the game as another, I guess, racist move. And the white Europeans started.
So this was written by somebody who doesn't follow basketball.
This whole thing is insane.
Because almost all the best 3-point shooters are not white. So
Do you know who the new Adolf Rupp is?
no.
And being Adolf Rupp in his article being basically, I mean, Adolf Rupp was a racist. The new Adolf Rupp is German son Steve Kerr.
Okay, let's move on.
He said Kerr is the poster boy of these hegemonies, a man with no coaching experience who replaced a black coach on the eve of the Warriors' title runs. I generally refer to the firing of Coach Jackson as a lynching.
All right, somebody's off their meds.
This is just an amazing comment. Anyway, I've never seen a comment like this. I'm like, I have to read this on the show.
Well, if you want a political version of that, check out our comedy show, The Brink of Sanity, also available on iTunes. And if you like music, check out jlovesmusic.wordpress.com.
Okay.
That is my new album review site. I think we ran out of time last week before we really mentioned it. But
it is a great site to hear. See, Jay has lots of views on music. He loves it, as the title says.
I do love music. I started a month ago and there's already 15 reviews up. So
why don't you do a cross promotion and do Fix the Knicks on there?
I think I might. When we get our first official JD and the Straight Shot request, I will review that album.
You're getting it right now, JD and the Straight Shot. Do it. Maybe you'll like the album. Maybe after making fun of him all these years, you'll be like, oh, he's pretty good actually.
I was thinking of doing a week of bands that I haven't really heard but assumed I would hate and was too scared to listen to in the case that I might like it. Like Nickelback.
Oh, that's a pretty good week. I like that. But you better start with the JD and the Straight Shot.
Because I've never heard a Nickelback album.
Okay, do Nickelback, do Justin Bieber. Let's go back to talking about the Knicks.
Okay. So, briefly, let's just blow through these games because they're all the same.
They're all the same. They lost to the Rockets, lost to the Nets. What do you want to say about this game? Okay, so the big news is that Moutier is he's out for about 2 weeks, if not a little bit longer, because of a shoulder issue. And because of that means Ntilikina is our starting point guard and has a chance to shine. And so what did he do with that chance to shine in the Nets game? He got fouls galore. He basically had 4 fouls. He had 3 fouls in the first. It was just he got called for some crappy fouls too. Like he took a charge. It was clearly a charge, and they called the foul on him.
Also, Luke Cornett is out, so now Lance Thomas is starting. Which, anyway.
Well, I mean, if you go what Fizz is saying, Lance still plays in the style he wants to play. So that's better than having Cantor out there who really just kind of ruins the style for him.
Did you notice that every single game there is one and only one bench player that goes off?
Yeah. By the way,
Houston was the Trier game, career high, 31 points.
Yeah. Who was the Nets game?
The Nets game was Burke, 10 for 19, 25 points. Game.
It's funny when Burke is playing well. You're like, no, he plays terrible defense. I'm just on offense. As far as scoring, when he scores, you're like, oh man, he's a really good scorer. Like he's hard to stop. Then you watch him. Then like 2 games later, he can't score for 10 straight games. Or I don't know. He goes so cold for. You would think he'd be a better offensive player. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. He shows flashes, but he's undersized, so he has to be in the right situation.
But do you remember like 2 months ago he had a huge game against the Celtics, and basically the Knicks beat the Celtics because of Burke.
Yeah.
And then he had a couple good games, and then disappeared till like the other night.
The Knicks have so few wins, I could remember vividly every single one of them.
I know. Actually, as I was saying it, I was like, did that happen this season, or was that a lifetime ago?
Way back in November 21st. Yeah, it's only 4 wins ago.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Nets also, how they built their team, they got Russell in basically a trade where they took a dump of salary from the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
They got and they also traded the Kuzma pick, but that wasn't that bad of a pick. They Joe Harris, I don't know where they got. The guy Ronnie Kurix, who's playing pretty well for them. It was a 2nd round pick. They got Allen. Was Allen a late 1st round pick? The center.
Yeah, I think he was 22nd. Oh, we did the mini Nets podcast last week, and we got a message for you to stop it.
Okay, fine. Anyway, they lost the Nets. I'm just like, I'm in awe of how well they've rebuilt. Even though they're not. Okay, I'll move on. They lost to the Thunder this week also. We forgot about that. And they're probably going to lose to the Heat, even though they're winning right now. They're up by 1 point. It's already turning.
Yeah, it's definitely turning.
They pointed out during tonight's game that they're talking about how bad, like when you rebuild, you're going to have painful seasons. And Philly, when they were rebuilding under Brett Brown, they had 1 year. Like 1 year, they started the season off 0-18.
Mm-hmm.
How do you even watch a game after that? And the following year, after going 0-18 to start that previous year, they won 10 games. I know they were tanking and whatever, but as a fan, how do you even like just go like I'm done? How do you just say I'm done with the team?
Yeah, that's way worse than the Knicks tanking so far.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks may not win another game this year. I'm not convinced they will.
They'll surprise a few teams.
I mean, they're not winning 17 games. Do you think they're winning 17 games?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
17, if you don't remember, is the worst season in Knicks history. When the year they got the pick KP in the draft. The year after, basically, that led to the Knicks drafting KP. Will they win? Right now, they're 10-37. So they have 47 games. So you have 35 more games to go. Will the Knicks go 7-28? I mean, that sounds in reach for a terrible team.
It does, but it's still, I think, it's about on pace for what they're doing now.
It just requires actually winning games. The Knicks just don't seem to be able to.
But the Knicks were 4-8 at some point, so most of their wins came in the first 12 games.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you remember the Hawks game when they blew out the Hawks to start the season? You're like, oh, this won't be so bad.
Well, no, we actually joked that this is the high point of the entire season,
and it was.
I think they will end up with 18, narrowly avoiding the worst season ever.
Do you want to jump to our where are they now?
Sure. So we have a where are they now? It is a guy who was recently traded.
Who's actually at tonight's game.
At tonight's game, but not playing.
Tell us more, Jay.
Carmelo Anthony, where are they now? Attending games in his casual attire.
Guys like, you look like you could play. Tell that to the rest of the NBA.
So he was traded to Chicago and then waived.
What was the deal with that trade? So the Houston traded him so they were paying him $2.5 million because they had picked him up from OKC, and they after OKC bought him out, and so I guess if they traded this, they avoided some luxury tax. Why did Chicago do this?
Chicago did this because I believe Houston sent over some cash.
I guess that's a.
And if they waive him and somebody else picks him up, that'll take care of Melo's salary. So basically, they got cash.
Okay, so who's going to pick up Melo?
Lakers.
The Lakers said the rumor was the Lakers were interested. They just don't have a roster spot, which means you're not interested.
Yeah, if you're not willing to cut your 15th guy for somebody, then you're not interested.
Yeah, they're like, our 15th guy, if he dies in an auto accident, we got you, Melo.
Lance Stevenson, who we're disgusted by, yeah, he's staying on the team.
Michael Beasley, who can't really play for us, he's staying on the team. There's so many guys on that team you could cut.
Yeah. I bet he ends up on a team.
What team, though?
I would say it's going to be a playoff team that needs some scoring and is okay on defense. OKC fits the bill, but they already tried that, and that didn't work out. What about?
I was gonna say maybe like Atlanta takes him because they just like to sell tickets, but they already traded for him and cut him. Didn't they trade for him at some point and cut him?
That's right. Melo's been in the last 12 months. Melo's been on half the teams in the league.
Because he was traded from OKC to Atlanta. Atlanta cut him, then Houston picked him up. If I remember correctly.
What about the Trailblazers or the Clippers?
I mean, do the Trailblazers need scoring? I mean, the Clippers maybe.
Trailblazers are like middle of the pack as far as scoring goes. Clippers score more than the Trailblazers, but they're fighting for that very last spot. So maybe they think some extra scoring off the bench will keep them in that last spot.
At some point, Portland wanted him. So anyway, where are they now? Melo in NBA hell.
Mhm.
When we traded for him, we thought he had like one of the best players in the league. This is a no-brainer. He's going to be a free agent. We can't guarantee. Let's trade everything we can. So right now we want to go through what happened to all the players we traded for Melo.
Okay.
I wonder if any of them are still in the league. So I guess go.
Do you remember who was traded?
Yeah, so I don't have it in front of me. Let's see if I can get everyone. I'm going to say Danilo Gallinari, who is right now having a borderline all-star year for the Clippers.
Arguably best season of his career, yeah.
So arguably the best player in the trade.
Mhm.
He was been injured a lot since that trade.
Yes.
So, but he's having a great year this year.
Yes.
It was Felton,
It was Felton, yes.
who post-trade the Knicks then signed to a 3-year deal, and then really was he part of the Chandler trade, getting rid of him?
Yeah, I believe he was, yeah.
So basically, they traded a valuable piece in Chandler. I mean, they were basically it was part of the dump. They had to dump the salary later on. That didn't work out either. And Felton still in the NBA,
Yes. He is barely playing, though.
but he's still in the. Is he on OKC still?
He is. He's on OKC. He has played 15 games this season, 11 minutes a game. He's been getting some DNPs lately, though.
Okay. There was a center in that trade, the Russian guy, Mozgov. Who is he still in the league?
He is, but he got surgery on his knee, so he is maybe out for the season.
But at some point post-trade, he was flipped for 2 number 1 draft picks.
That is true. So at some point, he had value.
The point being, the sum of all these players the Knicks traded have so much more value than Melo ended up having. Also, then it was the 2 draft picks. Then it was 2 first-round picks.
There's another player.
There's another player?
Oh, yeah. He's starting as well.
Who am I forgetting? Well, just tell me.
Wilson Chandler.
Oh, yeah. Wow, the Knicks gave up so much for Melo.
Yes.
He's starting on a playoff. He's starting on the 76ers, who are one of the best teams. He's not the reason they're one of the best teams in the East, but they are one of the best teams in the East.
Also, 2 draft picks and cash.
Yes. No, not 2 draft picks.
3.
Wasn't it?
3. 2 firsts and a second.
Isn't there a pick swap also? Wasn't it 2 firsts and a pick swap?
2 firsts, 2 seconds.
There's no pick swap.
No.
Okay, so who are those first round picks?
They are also both starters. So basically, we traded 4 starters. So the 2012 first rounder ended up being Sarek.
Oh, he's okay. He's
It's pretty good.
pretty good. I'd like to have him. Okay.
Take him. And the 2016 first rounder is Jamal Murray, starting point guard for the number 2 seeded Denver Nuggets.
He's kind of good. He would be, if he was on the Knicks right now, we'd be talking about him as one of the greatest point guards in Knicks history.
Absolutely, we would. Yeah.
I mean, I know his career. He's having an amazing year, and we would kill to get him.
Mm-hmm. So that was fun. That was a fun exercise.
So that trade worked out well. By the way, the Knicks are down 70-66 against the Heat now. That trade worked out well, huh?
I think we could officially say that the Knicks lost that trade now. I don't care that the Knicks won 1 playoff series while he was here.
I mean, was that a negative or a positive when you said that?
Well, that's people's defense. Like, oh, they made the playoffs for 3 years for the first time in, forever when they traded for Melo.
Well, I don't know if this is a knock on Melo anymore. I mean, this is a knock on the fact that the Knicks traded way too much to get him. That's all. Like, if the Knicks trade was Wilson Chandler and a first-round pick, you would have said, okay, fine.
Yeah. No, well, it's a knock on Melo because he kind of forced the trade, but it's also a knock on the Knicks for saying, yes, we'll do that, and then offering everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's more on the Knicks because, Melo's like, trade for me. The Knicks don't have to be like, okay, well, we're gonna have a learning disability while we try to trade with you.
Yeah. Well, we'll trade 60% of our starting lineup and our future.
So also in news related to Melo, Harden had 61 points against the Knicks in MSG. Mm-hmm. It did not break the Knicks record. Who holds the Knicks record for points in the game?
That would be Carmelo.
How many points did he get?
62.
Ooh, right there. Where were we when it happened? I think I was at your house, your apartment, whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a crazy game.
I believe we were eating pizza and shocked at the amazing performance.
Absolutely shocked. Remember, he was exhausted by the end of the game. Also,
Yeah.
I think he got 62 and just came off the court because he was too tired. But that was a hell of a game. What else goes? So Kevin Durant, Nick, Jay. Is there a chance that Kevin Durant's going to be a Knick?
There's a chance, but I don't get why he would want to leave Golden State, to tell you the truth.
Well, let's just say you go hey, I'm tired of playing all the way till June. Is there any way I can finish my season in April?
I want to get paid the same amount, but work 20% less.
Look, I just saw LeBron leave a team that was going to the finals, and he went to a bad team, and look how happy he is, barely making the playoffs. So I could do the exact same thing. I can go to one of the worst teams in the NBA and just see how it goes. Do you think so? Let's just say he says Golden State wins again this year, and he's like, you know what? I want my own team. Where else would he go besides the Knicks? Who else is a better option?
I mean, if you want to really prove that you can hold your own team and be a hero, New York is definitely the place. Okay, can you imagine if he brings a championship to New York? I mean, he would be a god here forever.
Jay, would you blow him?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, he would be an absolute this would cement his legacy. You would basically just say hey, whatever anyone else has said about you going to Golden State, you came here, you won a title, you are one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But where else? I was thinking about it. If he does leave Golden State, there aren't that many other places that make so much sense.
No, I mean, he could go to the Clippers, take Tobias Harris's spot.
I guess, but then does he want to share the LA spotlight with LeBron?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know if you want to be in the same town as LeBron. He's not going to probably join LeBron. I don't see him joining LA, the Lakers. To play
no, on the other hand, though, I don't really see him going to a smaller market either.
Yeah, he wants. If you're going to do it, you want to be in a big market. He can argue and rationalize in his brain. Well, the Knicks are getting KP back, and they're going to get a top draft pick. This team's not going to be that far away.
I mean, he would make Denver just ridiculous, but I can't see him wanting to go there.
I mean, does Denver have the money though? I mean, I guess you could always try to make the money available.
If Kevin Durant wants to come, you make the money.
It's like the Paul Millsap. They just shoot him. He's not alive anymore. So
yeah.
So what's the best way? So what's the article you want to talk about? Sports Illustrated article?
Oh yes, the SI did another good article. The trade deadline question. Actually, let's take a quick break, real quick, and then we'll go to the article.
Okay.
All right, we are back.
Yes. So the first part of the Jason article from Sports Illustrated talking about 3 questions facing the Knicks this trade deadline. The first question was, how real are the Kevin Durant rumors? If you're the Knicks, how seriously do you take these rumors?
Well, I would keep it on the radar, but unless the Knicks really try and trade Hardaway, I wouldn't put too much clout into that.
Well, the Knicks took the LeBron rumors really seriously, and they cleared up so much. They basically destroyed, not destroyed. They basically took apart the franchise and pushed all their cards to the middle based on expectations.
That was just dumb. They almost everybody thought that LeBron was not going to New York.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for this situation,
people actually think Durant might go to New York.
In this situation, leave the money open where you could. If Durant says yes, you can come here, but don't somehow ruin the future of your franchise doing it.
Well, I don't see why you don't just go to a player and be like, "Hey, Kevin Knox, you're going to be here next year," or Porzingis, you're going to be here next year. Here's Kevin Durant's phone number. Ask him if he's thinking about coming to New York next year.
Well, they always talk about the back channels, and I guess that's how they do the back channels. I don't know, but yeah, why don't you just do that? Yeah, leave money on the table so you can sign a max guy. If that guy turns out to be KD, great, but don't. I mean, for LeBron, one of the things they did was and Jordan Hill turned out to suck, but they drafted this guy number 8 in the draft, which was the highest pick the Knicks had in years.
Yeah,
and traded him by mid-season.
Where are they now? Jordan Hill?
I don't know where he is now. So how real are the rumors? I'd say they are. There's a better chance my son turns out to play for the Knicks than Kevin Durant actually plays for the Knicks, but I'm going to say 2% on these rumors being real. What do you think?
I'm going to go 10.
Okay, but the Knicks should not take it seriously enough to hurt their future. Number 2 question: would the Knicks
if you were wondering, Jordan Hill, where are they now? Out of the NBA for 2 years.
Okay, good for him. Number 2: would the Knicks attach a first-round draft pick to Hardaway Jr. to get rid of him? This is where, if they were going all in like LeBron, they would do that, and it would be moronic. Don't trade a first-round pick to get rid of Hardaway. And they're not saying this year's first round. They're saying a future first round. Those always come back to bite us.
I don't think Hardaway is that bad that you would need to attach a future first.
In theory, this clears so you can sign 2 max guys. The chance of these max guys coming here are so little. We have a better chance of this first round pick actually being something than.
Well, also remember we just mentioned what happened to those 2 first round picks. Also, the Knicks traded 2 first round picks for Eddie Curry. And do you remember who those 2 players were?
I think it's LaMarcus Aldridge and Joakim Noah.
Yes.
Those guys. Noah prior to being on the Knicks, that is, ended up being pretty good.
Yeah. So again, this is why you don't trade first round picks.
By the way, Noah has now said it wasn't that he partied too much in New York; it was some other reason that he sucked.
Yeah,
but he corrected the record, I guess.
Except that he literally said he partied too much.
He said the word lit, and then didn't explain what lit meant in his follow up.
Because we all knew what that meant.
Anyway, so don't trade a first round pick to get rid of Hardaway Jr. It doesn't, and you also you might be able to trade Courtney Lee, or you might be able to trade Lance Thomas. If Kevin Durant says, "I'm definitely coming there," then you do it. But don't wait. You wait till his signature is on the dotted line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if Kevin Durant signs here, I'm pretty sure you'd be fine with trading a first round pick to get rid of Hardaway. If Durant signs here, you think some other star would be up for signing here too.
Yeah, and you got to think Durant's going to be better than whoever we're going to draft anyway.
Yeah, it's worth it, basically. Keep this year's draft pick, but I would trade a future one to get rid of Hardaway to free that money up if Durant has already signed here.
Yeah, because Durant's a once-in-a-generation talent.
Yeah, it's like when Cleveland, when LeBron came back, and the Cleveland had that first-round draft pick and turned out to Wiggins. Wiggins obviously, questionable whether they should have kept Wiggins to begin with. Or I guess Wiggins has not been that amazing. But, trading Wiggins right away for Kevin Love made perfect sense because LeBron had signed there.
Since we started this podcast, the Knicks have been outscored by 17 points, and they are now down by 11.
Okay. Well, good thing we don't want. That's what it is for a Knicks fan. You want to enjoy the Knicks games. Whenever they have a lead, turn it off and call it a night.
It's the third quarter again. I don't know. Nothing's changed. New roster, new coach, third quarter blowouts.
Yeah, Knicks are bad. Question 3. What if the Knicks traded Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina?
You see, when I read that, I was like, you shut your mouth. And then their thing on Knox said that he's averaging less than 1 assist per game, he's a streaky shooter, and he's a mess on defense. When you sell it like that...
I really do like Knox. What was the point, though, of trading them? Oh, at the deadline? Oh, this is just quite separately from Durant signing here. They're just saying Ntilikina, his value is peaking, is only going downhill from here, and Knox isn't that great. We should give up on him at 19.
Well, they're saying if you need to attach those to clear up space. So if you don't want to give up a first rounder for Hardaway, maybe you attach one of those other guys.
Yes. Oh, yeah, right. The Lakers had cleared draft space for LeBron James by trading D'Angelo Russell to help clear space.
Right.
But they also had
All-Star.
Ball at that point, on the Ball.
Yeah, I think they thought Russell was going to be worse and Ball was going to be much, much better.
I don't know if they're correct, but
so far it's looking like they made a horrible error, but you never know.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, at the trade deadline, what should the Knicks do at the trade deadline, Jay?
Find something, anything for Cantor, Lee, and Hardaway. All three. Fire sale.
Pretty much, if you're not named Mitchell Robinson, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, or KP, you're up to be traded. Actually, the Knicks have already announced that Courtney Lee and Timmy Hardaway, they're open to trading them.
Well, yeah, everyone knew that. They didn't have to announce that.
It was like, hey guys, if you didn't know, we were open to trading Timmy Hardaway. We know. No, I'm just letting you guys. We know. You don't have to tell us.
Side note: I was just looking at the box scores for tonight.
Yeah.
Harden scored 40 again. Do you know how many points he's averaging for the entire month of January?
I'm gonna say 40.
44.
Oh shit!
Now that's insane.
Here's the question for you: Is nothing in a Harden rant? Are you so impressed with Harden, so amazing, or is it because the league is not allowed to guard him?
But if you took out all his free throws made, he's still averaging 31 a game.
But because he gets so many foul calls, you just don't guard him as hard.
Well, that and he gets the starters in foul trouble, and now he's going up against bench players.
Yeah, but I that's true too. I think there's because of how he gets so many calls, it makes it impossible to guard him, and that like his stats are inflated because of that. He's a very good player. He's all-star, one of the best players in the league, but he's not this good. He's not this good without the help of the refs or the stupid league rules that allow everything that happens to him to be a foul.
I agree. We're not saying he's not good. He's very, very, very good. But yes, he does get a little bit of help.
I mean, like if you just gave Kevin Knox all these foul calls, Knox would look pretty good too. I mean, he wouldn't look that great. He wouldn't look this amazing, but like, and he obviously Harden makes lots of shots, but like, it's just absurd how many calls he gets.
Yeah.
And I understand what people say he figured out he knows how to flop his body and take advantage of the rules. Change the goddamn rules then.
All right. Sorry about that tangent. Would you attach a sweetener?
Would I attach a sweetener to get rid of? No, I'm not attaching any sweetener until I have commitment from one of these guys. If I have a commitment from a star, then it's fine. But till then, no.
What if you had a wink, wink, nudge, nudge deal with Kevin Durant? He's going to opt out. He's going to sign with the Knicks. Nobody wants Hardaway unless Ntilikina is attached.
No, I'm not doing anything until he actually signs here. Like zero. We can always trade him. We have the money to sign him now, or we're going to get screwed. No matter what wink thing happens, we're the Knicks, it'll work out poorly. Don't do it.
So you say do the trade over the summer.
Yeah, over the summer, if Durant says to us he's going to sign here, when it's not wink, wink, it's that he's given up. Like it gives us at least his verbal commitment.
Like he's in the car on the way to the stadium to sign the contract.
Yeah, well, I have to first figure out it's not like some radio DJs that are like playing a joke on us.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
What about you? Are you okay with like attaching a sweetener to get rid of one of these contracts? And what level of sweetener would you do?
I don't think I would give up on Knox. Frank, I'm almost there. I would rather.
By the way,
not.
Knox. How would you give up Knox at this point? He hasn't finished his first season.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wouldn't.
Okay.
Russell didn't really look really good until year 4.
Yeah.
So I would still say no, but I mean, like
Second
what
round
if it's,
pick?
Well, I'm just thinking like, as much as I like Frank and Knox, we're talking about Kevin Durant.
He's not coming here. That's why it's such insane. That's why it's insane. He's not actually coming here.
Yeah,
but,
I'm just saying if
yeah.
you had some inside info, would you really be like, no, Kevin, go play somewhere else because we have Frank?
You'd be like, it's weird. Like Kevin Durant showed up, a guy dressed like Kevin Durant showed up, said he was going to sign here. I told him, bullshit, you're not really Kevin Durant. And then he signed somewhere else.
All right, emails, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We're also NY Knicks Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and Spotify.
It's one of those things that like it seems so unbelievable to me that the Knicks would actually be able to sign Kevin Durant. I can't seriously talk about that reality. It's like talking about the lottery ticket you bought and seriously being like, no, 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 no. Let's go down to the car dealership and put money down.
Right. Okay, Jorge writes, he actually sent in a Cantor rant last week, and then this one says, I effing hate Cantor. If he would have played, we would have lost by more, which is a good thing now. This game was too close and to a win. We need Cantor out there. And then hashtag pick and roll 000 all day. And he highlighted the Knicks Wizards 101-100 loss. And he also circled a CNN article with a picture of Cantor, and it says, I'm scared my life would be in danger. So this was the London game that the Knicks almost won, and he's saying he hates Cantor because we would have lost by more if he wasn't so scared.
That's fun. That is funny.
I like it.
By the way, Knicks are down. They're in the fourth quarter, just into the fourth quarter. They are down by now 9 points. Knicks are they're awesome. They're awesome at tanking. Knox, by the way, is 2 for 6 with 4 points. I by the way, I'm nowhere near getting. I still have a lot of. I have high hopes for Knox, but he's young and he's playing like he's young. Basically, sometimes he looks good, sometimes he looks not so good.
Yeah. And let's see, we have an email from Nasir. He says, is Fizz the right coach for this team? We keep talking about developing players, but they seem like they're getting worse and worse. Knox is decent, but very inconsistent. You would expect that, though. Trier hasn't looked the same, aside from the good performances he's had this week. I just don't see a lot of development.
It's hard to argue with that. The team is like... Yeah, I think there was someone asked Fitzdale about when they talk about Cantor, about worried about like something about worried about the locker room or something like that, or and he just said, "What's going to happen? We're going to lose more games," which was funny, but
well, look, Trier got injured and has looked shaky since he came back, so maybe he's still recovering from the injury. Maybe he got a little rusty. You're talking about other guys that have all been rejected from other teams, or this is their first shot, like Trier. This isn't exactly a bunch of guys that were good on other teams and just didn't get better. This is like a team of outcasts and rejects. Nobody had any expectations for Dodson, Trier, Burke, Hazonia. So the fact that they're doing anything isn't the worst. You know what I mean? It's like what are we expecting Fizdale to do?
You know what the thing is? Everything you're saying is completely right. I want to rebuild. This is what you need to do. It's just that it's hard to watch this team night in and night out and have faith in the coach.
Yeah, but what are you going to say? Oh, Fizdale didn't turn Vonleh into an all-star.
By the way, I just looked at Tankathon. I did not realize Cleveland won a game.
Yeah, I had that on my docket to mention. So
yeah,
the Knicks are now tied for the least amount of losses in the league.
Yeah,
Cleveland,
but it's a tight race. Phoenix and Chicago have 11, so it's a real tight race.
Cleveland has 4 more losses, though.
It does look like the wins what matters in the Tankathon, not the losses. We can all lose games. Winning is what matters. Atlanta has 15 wins. I would have to say there is no way the Knicks are catching Atlanta. Like the Knicks are locked in for a top 4. It's just a matter of if they can be number 1.
Yeah. So yeah, my point is you got guys that were outcasts on other teams, and you're expecting miracles from it. I mean, compare Vonleh's numbers. His numbers have gone up. He's shooting 39% from 3.
I think the issue really is that, by the way, he shot like 11 threes the other night, which was kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real issue here is that like the offense looks. It doesn't look like there's a lot of play calling out there. The offense looks really like they're like doing whatever they're doing out there. I guess a bad team looks like this, but you wanted to see. I don't know what you wanted to see in the first year. I mean, you're not really building a culture when the team only wins 10 games.
Right, but again, you're starting 2 rookie. Well, a second year and a rookie. You're starting a guy who hardly played on his last team. So that's 60% of the starting lineup. How complicated are the plays do you want to run for these guys?
you want to see a little more complicated of an offense, I guess. I don't know. You wonder whether Fitz is going to be the guy. I haven't given up on him, but I just don't have a lot of like. I'm not ride or die with Fitz right now. Like if the Knicks was like I don't think Fitz is the guy anymore. I'd be like, okay. I mean, whatever. The team's a disaster. What's the difference?
I feel like we're just getting bitter because the Knicks have won 3 games in 7 weeks. We said 2 months ago that if Fizdale hardly played Thomas, Lee, and any of the older guys, well, at the time it was Noah, and played the young guys a ton of minutes, we'd be happy, and that's what he's doing. It's
a fair. He's doing a lot of the right things in that respect. I can't argue with like the one thing people are saying Ntilikina, he should give more minutes to Ntilikina, and he should, but I can't kill him because Ntilikina hasn't looked that great anyway.
All right, part 2 of the question. Yeah. What do you guys think about this? Cantor and Lee of the Clippers for Gortat and Avery Bradley. Gortat is on an expiring deal, and we could use a veteran like Bradley for our young guys, and he's a great defender.
That was Lee and who?
That was Lee and Cantor.
Sure. I mean, I'll take anything back for Lee and Cantor. That sounds good. And Avery Bradley would be a decent addition to the team. I'm totally all in. What do you think?
I'm looking at Bradley's contract because he has been so bad this year.
He can play defense.
He plays defense. That is true. But he is making $12 million next year. 13. So like $13 million.
Like, do we bring him in as like the ghost of Christmas future for Ntilikina? You don't get your offense better. This is what happens to you. You become Avery Bradley.
But again, I would say Courtney Lee is making almost the same exact amount. So basically, you're swapping Courtney Lee for Avery Bradley.
Oh, in that case, it's almost like the way you put it that way. Like, why even just keep? Why you just keep Courtney Lee?
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Courtney Lee than Bradley at this point.
I don't think either one is like you're like. What is it like? You're moving the chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it really does much for either team. I mean, it gets Cantor out for locker room reasons this season, but Gortat has been known to have an attitude too, and I really don't think he wants to go to one of the worst teams in the league.
If you want Cantor out, you could just cut him. You'd buy him out. Like that's a fine strategy. That's how you get rid of him.
Yeah. All right, we're almost out of time. Facebook questions?
Yeah. We have a couple. Bobby writes, if Cantor truly wanted the playing time, wouldn't he have worked on his defense last offseason rather than wasting time shooting threes? His last 2 teams benched him, then sent him packing because his defensive game is atrocious. So what does the genius work on in training? Becoming a stretch 5.
Which he didn't implement in the game at all.
Yeah, he didn't it's not like he was shooting a lot of threes once the season started. He seemed as hesitant as possible. Yeah, I mean the thing is, defense is not just effort. People say defense is effort. It's much more than just effort. You really have to know. It's like defensive instincts. He could have become a better defender if he really worked on this, right?
Absolutely.
He would never be like an all-star like defender or like a defensive player of the year, but he could be better.
I mean, he made those stupid videos shooting threes, and he's shooting less and worse than he did in Utah.
Yeah, Adrian writes, what would be the ideal trade for? I mean, the thing is, Cantor took the money. Let's just buy him out and call it a day. Like, remember when Wade opted in and Chicago just bought him out?
Yeah.
Just we made a bad deal. Let's get rid of him. Adrian writes, what would be an ideal trade for Cantor, Lee, and Hardaway? With Oladipo out for the rest of the season, do you think they would go after Hardaway? And what can we get from Indiana, or would it be most likely be a 3-team trade? So would Indiana be up for Hardaway now that that sucks, by the way. Like Indiana, how cursed are they?
I know.
First Paul George, not Oladipo.
No, it was the Artest melee, and then they rebuilt the team, and then Paul George, and then they rebuilt the team. And so every time the Pacers are about to do something special.
I mean, unbelievable. I don't see. Maybe if they're not going to go both for Sabonis and Miles Turner big contracts this offseason, you somehow convince them to do like Hardaway and I don't know. Another big, maybe Hardaway and Ntilikina for Miles Turner. With money, I guess, obviously coming back. Would you do something like that?
I would. Why would Indiana do that?
I mean, they think Timmy Hardaway could just be Oladipo.
Miles Turner's one of their
in
best
theory,
defenders.
the theory is that Indiana does not believe that Sabonis and Turner, having both those guys is the answer. The theory is that basically they think they have to move on from one of those guys.
Do you want Turner for $18 million for the next 4 years?
I mean, is anyone else coming here?
Well, they're definitely not if you use all your cap space on Turner.
Right. I don't know. I mean, Turner's not a bad, like him next to KP is not a bad option.
No, it's not. I mean, I like Turner. I don't know if you want to right now be like, yeah, we're going to pass on free agency because we got Miles Turner.
Well, if you're swapping Hardaway's contract, then you're not necessarily passing on free agency. You still have money.
You're right. That's a good point. No, I forgot Hardaway has a couple years left.
But I think they'd have to take money back. I don't have the ESPN trade machine here either, so because they'd have to take, because obviously Knicks are trading much more money to Indiana, so they'd have to get something back that probably would damage their cap space.
Right, it's close enough where I think they would only have to throw in like end of the bench guy, Kyle O'Quinn.
Why do you think? I think Turner's not making that much money this year.
I am all messed up. You're right. He's making $3 million this year.
Yeah. So, yeah. I as far as Hardaway is like places he would be a good fit. Like OKC would make a lot of sense. I just don't know if they would. I don't know if they have the cap space. I don't know if they have the salary to match there.
I could see the Jazz wanting him too.
Yeah, that would make sense. There are teams that would he would make a lot of sense. I just think his money is too much basically for a lot of teams. If you're the Jazz, you're not getting a big free agent anyway. So maybe it makes a lot of sense to get a guy like Hardaway.
The Blazers, maybe the Magic. I could see a few teams wanting him. Eric
writes, you get the first pick. Do you trade it or take Zion? He can't really shoot, and those knees could be a ticking time bomb. Can he not shoot? I don't really know enough about Zion. I know he can dunk, but I know the NBA is more than just dunking. How's his
shooting is seems to be a little sketchy.
Okay, but he seems like a. What do you say? Like a compare? I have not watched much of Zion, but like a Blake Griffin type.
Blake Griffin really learned how to shoot from the outside.
But he did that after he got the NBA.
Yeah, he did.
But he was like a freak, an athletic freak, basically, in college.
Zion is shooting 2 threes a game and is shooting 27%.
Oh yeah, okay, but that can get better. Well, how's the rest of his shooting? Like, can he shoot like a 10-foot jumper?
Yeah, I don't know. I only have his field goal percentage and it's 67%, but I don't know if that's on 90% dunks.
And also, I mean, like, if you look at what's his name on Philly, who can't shoot more than 3 feet outside.
Simmons.
What do you say? Yeah, he can't shoot more than 3 feet from the basket, and he's great.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's the Greek Freak basically can't shoot more than 3 feet from the basket.
That is true. I mean, I would like to see a little bit more rebounds from Zion, but I take him. I don't trade.
Right now, it looks like Zion's the guy you take. Number 2 is
Barrett.
Barrett. Number 3 is Morant. Ja Morant. What's his name?
Yeah, Ja Morant.
Ja Morant. With people saying whatever. We can talk about it. The draft picks later on. Bill writes, do you guys think Timmy and Moutier are assets on this team, even with a dumpster fire defense?
No.
Yeah, I come around. They're not. Josh writes, Paul George stayed with the Thunder when everyone thought he was going to LA. If Kawhi stays in Toronto when everyone thinks he's going to LA, does it justify the Melo trade 4 months before everyone thought he was going to New York?
No. Melo wanted a big market. There was no way he was staying in Denver.
So I disagree with you. I understand the logic that it could justify trading for him. It's really the issue was how much they traded. if it was a more reasonable package, we don't maybe look on it as being such an insane deal.
I still think you sign him in free agency, and then you have Chandler and Gallinari and Felton.
Right,
with
right.
That's a crazy good team.
But if you just traded Gallinari and like one first and a pick swap or something like that, it wouldn't look as bad. It's that all the players you traded.
It wouldn't. But again, I'd say you just wait 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, but the Knicks also thought arguably he could go play with Brooklyn. There were other teams they arguably thought he might go to. I'm just saying I understand the logic here that it does justify trading for him to a certain extent. It's just
if they gave away half of what they gave away, that would have been fine.
Amber writes, or Arnberg writes, how would you feel about drafting Bol if not for his talent then for his wicked cool name?
I'm scared to death of Bol.
Well, he's out for the season, so you can't do it now. But what a name!
I would take him with like a second-round pick.
He's the only player in the NBA only player to be in the NBA where like 6-month-old babies can say his name.
Yeah.
Pat writes, flashback to the Houston game. This time Harden has 61 points and the Knicks are down by 1 with 10 seconds to go. Harden has the ball. Do you foul him knowing that he's more than likely going to sink the free throws and take back the MSG scoring record from the Knicks? Or do you let the clock run out and take the loss in favor of history and Zion?
That's interesting. I mean, I think you always play for the win.
Yeah, you play for the win, but it's a good thought, though. Nick writes, how much do you think we can get back if we package Cantor and Timmy?
I don't think I think Timmy might get something okay. Cantor, you're getting nothing.
I mean, I think most teams would just laugh at that and then like be like, I think most teams would laugh at that. Like, you just go like, we're gonna package Cantor and Timmy, and they would just be like crying, laughing.
Well, you can't package them. That's $37 million.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's an insane amount of money. I don't think Cantor's movable, especially because the Knicks are gonna buy. Everyone now is convinced the Knicks will buy him out. So
you can never say that because everyone knew Bargnani was getting bought out, and the Knicks still traded.
I mean, the problem. You know what the problem here, Jay, is they can't trade him to the Knicks.
I know.
When you're the dumbest team in the NBA, there's no one else dumber. So
there's always the Kings. They're always a wild card.
The Kings look pretty good now. Jeffrey writes, assuming the Knicks don't make any moves at the trade deadline, who gets more combined minutes per game going forward? Cantor plus Hazonia plus Timmy, or Ntilikina plus Robinson?
Who gets more what?
Combined minutes. It should be Ntilikina and Robinson, obviously.
It should be.
I do want them to like try as hard as possible to move Hazonia, anyone that's here on a 1-year deal anyway, to see what they can get. Vonleh, do you think the Knicks should try to trade Vonleh?
No.
Why not?
Why?
You can always sign it. You can always sign him in the offseason. What if you can get a second-round pick for him? You want him back, sign him in the offseason. We don't like. He's a fine player. I'd be happy to have him back next year. But if you could move him, he's expiring anyway.
You think if you trade him just to get a second rounder, he's going to want to come back?
I don't think he's all that great. I think he's a little bit overrated by Knicks fans these days. He's fine. The more I watch him, the more I'm like, I see why the Knicks are his fourth team. He's a fine player, but he's not a starting power forward for next year, nor starting that center for us.
Right.
He's a solid backup in this league, and that's all he is.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know he's 23, but do you see him developing to like some kind of like real starter?
No, I think he would be a good like seventh man on a team.
I think we make too big of a deal about his defense, and like a lot of times he looks absent as far as offense, and a lot of his defense isn't that great. He's fine. Sometimes he looks good, but I think we're fooled by the fact how bad the rest of the team looks.
Yes.
Okay. Knicks suck. That's what we learned today. Knicks are down by 2 points with 2 minutes to go. They might actually win this game.
They won't.
I know they won't.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next week.
Yeah.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Pull over. But it's time to go.
This is the end.